Wow, look at that. I'm going to go in for a zoom in.
We call these brim. They're sunfish, panfish, little freshwater fish. They're the sweetest flesh. They're so delicious.
They are so good.
It's my favorite fish, actually. And I grew up on a boat, so.
How are you going to fix those?
I'm going to fry them. What do you think?
You can't beat a brim.
No, it's the best.
What kind of bait you use?
Night crawlers.
Let's see what it is. Night crawler is. Oh, a little old worm you talking about. Those are worms, yeah.
Yeah, they call them night crawlers, though. Didn't they call them night crawlers, Mikey?
That's what they said.
Look here, rents.
Where'd you buy them at? Yeah, I know. I see them. Where did you buy your worms at?
Mr. Hyman.
These babies are so tasty when they're fried up.
I have this thing that's better than this. You should see it. It's got these rotating. It's the weirdest looking thing. It's got.
Does it hook onto something?
No, it doesn't hook onto anything. But the end up, it's this plastic handle, and the end is round like that, and sticking out of it, loose in their sockets, are these little hexagonal shaped things that stick out, little fingers, like 20 of them.
Ah,
and
okay.
you just rub it on the back of the fish. This is pretty good here, I have to admit. This would be a lot easier if I had my own knives here. But Michael's mother doesn't clean many fish. I dare say she's never cleaned one in her life. These are good sized brim. Make sure I got the last of the scales. See, no scale. Oh, there's a little one up there. I love how they are pretty even after the scales. Look at that. So you cut the head off and pull the guts out, and if you're lucky, you've got a female, and there are roe sacks in here. And you can just fry them up when you're frying your fish, or you can scramble them into eggs. Mama used to always put them in I broke the sacks, but that's okay. Mama used to put them in a glass of water, and then would scramble them into the eggs the next morning. Yummy. So I cleaned the brim when we were at Michael's mom's and put them down in a tub of water to freeze them, and brought them with us. And we're in Florida now at a friend's condo, and they aren't cooks, and so I'm having to deal with what I have here. I've got my pot of my oil that I'm going to fry them in. I've rigged up a basket type thing to put them in after I fry them to let them drain. I've got red rice growing back here, and I've got slaw made. And normally I would use my own corn flour and cornmeal, but we went to the grocery store and I found Zatarain's fish fry, crispy southern style, and it's a very fine cornmeal or corn flour with seasoning in it, mostly salt, pepper, and cayenne. And I got some plain cornmeal, and I went ahead and made my normal batch of cornbread mix, to which I add onions, and then I will add the seasoned cornmeal to it to thicken, to make the hush puppies after I fried the fish. So I'm going to get the oil going, and then I'll simply drop them down in there and fry them up. Thicken the cornbread mixture with the seasoned corn flour and drop balls down into the grease to fry the hush puppies. Normally when I fry, I use a thermometer, and I like to fry everything, pretty much everything, at 365 degrees. It's easy to remember by the number of days of the year. It's perfect for frying things. I don't have a thermometer here, but I can see that there are slight ripples across the surface of the oil, and I'm going to pick up a pinch of the corn flour, the fish fry, and drop it, and it immediately sizzles. Earlier I pointed out the roe sacks. This is sort of the cook's bonus. I'm going to drop them in. I'm going to fry them up first. They'll only take a second. My mother would scramble them into eggs, which is a great way to eat them. But we're just going to fry them up first. Just dip them in, shake off the excess. It's always important to shake off the excess. I don't like to use slotted spoons because I find that the foods collect, but this pasta drains pretty good. Those are nice and crisp. I also don't like to put things down on paper towels or paper bags because they just reabsorb the grease that they were in. So I put it in racks so that things can drain. These don't take very long to fry. I'm doing the biggest ones first. I just want them to be nice and crisp. Never crowd your pot. Never fill it more than half full of oil. Always use clean grease. Let the temperature come back up between batches of frying. Ooh, these are going to be so good. I love them. Well, the little roast rack is just the most delicious morsel. So, when the fish is nice and golden brown, it really doesn't take long to fry. Anything you're frying, you want to lift it out of the oil. Sorry I don't have the proper tools here. And let any excess grease drain off. It's one of the reasons that the fast food restaurants do such a good job, because they take the fried foods out of the grease, which is also maintained at a very constant temperature, which is very important, and make sure everything's drained off before they set it aside. Hopefully you have some better instruments at your house, tools, kitchen tools. When the last fish come out, I'm going to, you see I'm draining all the extra grease off. You may notice that I have wet paper towels all around the outside of the pot, and I'm continually wiping down, especially because I'm in someone else's kitchen. And the wet paper towels just keep the grease at a minimum. So I've got my normal cornbread mix that has onions added to it, and I'm adding the fish fry to thicken until it's usually the right amount, thick enough to drop by spoonfuls into the hot grease. And you want to drop them by spoonfuls. You really want to drop them so that it forms the classic round shape. Now, I usually fry in deeper oil than this. It's just like the cornbread that I always make, except it doesn't have the leavening in it. Again, don't crowd your pot. And you can pop them and they'll turn over. This oil isn't deep enough to form perfect spheres, but I have a feeling they're going to be tasty. Yum!